Imagine, if you will, standing on the edge of change. Life as you know it is filled with endless choices, challenges, and responsibilities. Every decision you make shapes you, and every obstacle, whether big or small, becomes a test of your strength, discipline, and values. But amidst these swirling possibilities, how do you find true mastery over yourself? How do you live a life grounded in purpose and resilience? This question has lingered for thousands of years, drawing the curious, the driven, and the wise toward the philosophy of Stoicism. Seneca, one of Stoicism's great thinkers, did not promise a life free of hardship. Instead, he offered a path to meet life's trials with dignity and wisdom. In the next few minutes, we will walk alongside Alex, a character much like each of us, trying to find peace, purpose, and mastery over life's uncertainties. Through his experiences, we will explore 15 Stoic lessons inspired by Seneca, each a timeless principle meant to help us become the best version of ourselves. Are you ready to embark on this journey? Are you willing to face the challenges life has laid before you with courage and clarity? Let us begin, for the path ahead is rich with insight and the promise of growth. 1. Protect your time, the unseen wealth. Alex used to think of time as an endless resource. Like many of us, he allowed hours, even days, to slip by in a blur of distractions, believing that the future would always hold more. But one evening, a sudden realization struck him. Time is not a resource we can recover, store, or extend. Every moment lost was a piece of his life he could never reclaim. Could it be, he wondered, that time was his most valuable asset? Seneca warns us that time is fleeting and irreplaceable. He observed, "We are tight-fisted with property and money, yet think too little of wasting time, the one thing about which we should all be the toughest misers." Alex felt this truth deeply. How much time had he let slip away on trivial tasks, mindless entertainment, or shallow pursuits? He knew it was time to guard his hours with the same vigilance he would reserve for a treasure. So, how do you guard your time? Picture yourself at the beginning of each day, with a fresh set of hours stretched before you. Each moment represents a choice. Will you spend it on tasks that bring meaning, align with your values, and foster growth, or will you allow distractions to pull you off course? Seneca's wisdom urges us to evaluate every commitment, every yes, with care. Alex began to make changes. First, he identified the areas where he felt time slipping away. Social media, idle conversations, endless notifications, they all crept into his day, diverting his focus and energy. Determined to reclaim his time, he established boundaries. He limited his phone use, planned his day with intentional breaks, and carved out time for what truly mattered: his goals, his growth, his relationships. But this was not merely about scheduling or productivity. It was about valuing his life. Every time Alex said no to a distraction, he was saying yes to a life of purpose. He began each day with a simple question: how will I honor my time today? This question grounded him, helping him make choices that reflected his values rather than his impulses. The process wasn't easy. Friends occasionally grew impatient, and Alex felt the pull of his old habits. Yet, as he persisted, he discovered something remarkable. His days no longer felt hurried or fragmented. His life, though filled with effort and focus, seemed to slow down, allowing him to savor moments that once passed unnoticed. The more he guarded his time, the more he realized its true worth. Time, Seneca believed, is life itself. To squander it is to squander the gift of existence. In the words of the Stoic philosopher, life is long if you know how to use it. So ask yourself, are you using your time, or is it using you? Are you investing it in what matters, or allowing it to be consumed by the trivial. In protecting your time, you protect your very self. Each hour that you reclaim becomes a step toward the mastery of your life, a way to live with intention rather than passivity. And thus, Alex's journey had begun. He was one step closer to mastering himself by honoring the fleeting moments he had. But time alone was not enough. He knew he must also learn to navigate the challenges that life would inevitably bring. Next, we'll see how Alex learns to face these challenges head-on, discovering that comfort is not the friend of growth, but rather its greatest adversary. 2. Seek challenges, the forge of greatness. Alex had spent much of his life seeking comfort and security, always looking for the easiest path and the least resistance. Yet, beneath this pursuit of ease, a quiet discomfort lingered. He couldn't shake the feeling that something essential was missing, a sense of growth, purpose, and strength that he couldn't find in the familiar. The more he looked inward, the clearer it became that comfort had become a barrier to his growth. Seneca's advice echoed in his mind. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. To discover his true potential, Alex knew he had to leave behind his comfort zone and seek out the very challenges he had avoided. Could it be that greatness lies not in ease, but in hardship? Was he willing to confront his fears to uncover his strength? With this realization, Alex made a pact with himself. He would embrace the challenges life presented instead of running from them. The next morning, he sought out his first test, a new project at work that had been daunting him for weeks. It was complicated and required skills he hadn't fully mastered, and he'd been reluctant to take it on. Yet, with Seneca's wisdom in mind, he decided to approach it head-on. The first few days were difficult. Self-doubt crept in, whispering that he wasn't capable, that failure was imminent. He felt the weight of the project, the fear of mistakes, and the lure of his old habits tugging at him. But Alex pushed through day by day, and as he worked, something began to shift. His skills grew sharper, his confidence steadier. He started to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to expand his limits. Seneca believed that only in the crucible of difficulty is true greatness forged. Alex experienced this truth in a personal way. Each challenge he met became a mirror reflecting his resilience. Over time, he sought out more challenges, from difficult conversations to physical pursuits he'd long ignored. One weekend, he even decided to train for a local marathon, despite having never run more than a few miles at a time. Running under the hot sun, every muscle aching, Alex confronted his own limits and discovered strength he didn't know he possessed. Each step brought pain, but also a deep satisfaction, a reminder that progress isn't born of comfort, but of struggle. He found that the greatest rewards came not from avoiding difficulty, but from embracing it fully. Ask yourself this: what challenges have you been avoiding? Are there difficult conversations, unfulfilled goals, or daunting tasks that you've set aside, believing them to be too hard? Could it be that facing them is the very path to growth and self-mastery? Seneca's wisdom teaches us that growth and greatness are not handed to us in moments of ease. We must forge them through trials and tribulations. The next time life presents a challenge, rather than retreat, step forward and accept it. Each difficulty is an invitation to discover your potential, to uncover a strength that lies dormant within you. In seeking challenges, Alex had not only discovered his capabilities, but a profound sense of fulfillment. Yet, he knew that his environment and the people around him would also play a crucial role in his journey. The next step would be to evaluate the influences in his life, ensuring they, too, aligned with his commitment to self-mastery. And so, Alex turns his attention to the company he keeps, discovering the importance of choosing wise influences. Join us in the next section as we explore this essential aspect of Stoic wisdom. 3. Choose influences wisely. The company you keep. As Alex embarked on this journey of self-mastery, he began to notice something that had often escaped his attention: the people around him. He realized that the influence of others was as powerful as his own actions and thoughts. The philosopher Seneca knew this well. "Associate with those who will make a better man of you," he advised. "Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. Reflecting on this, Alex asked himself, who are the people I spend most of my time with? Do they encourage me to be better, or do they drain my energy? Do they celebrate my progress, or do they make me feel small? Alex thought about his friend group. Many of them were good people, but some had a habit of complaining about everything: their jobs, their families, even their own lives. The conversations were often filled with gossip, negativity, and frustration. While he once joined in, he now felt a quiet discomfort. He noticed that after spending time with these friends, he felt drained and discouraged. He started to understand that these interactions were hindering, rather than helping, his growth. This realization did not come without struggle. After all, these were people he'd known for years. Could he just walk away? Should he? Seneca's wisdom urged him to think carefully. It wasn't about abandoning friendships, but being mindful of the impact they had on his path. Alex made a conscious decision to spend more time with individuals who shared his aspirations for growth. He sought out mentors at work, began engaging with like-minded acquaintances, and reconnected with an old friend, Julia, who had a similar passion for personal development. Julia had always been a positive influence, someone who radiated optimism and encouraged him to pursue his goals. Spending time with her reminded him of the value of uplifting connections. Through these new relationships, Alex found himself more energized, motivated, and focused. The positivity was contagious, creating an upward cycle of encouragement and support. He noticed how Julia challenged him to expand his perspectives, not through criticism, but through curiosity and encouragement. Rather than letting him dwell on setbacks, she would ask, "What's the lesson here? How can this help you grow?" Alex took this lesson to heart. Gradually, he began to distance himself from those who fed into negativity, choosing instead to invest his time with people who encouraged him to be the best version of himself. It wasn't always easy, and there were days he felt the pang of loss, but he reminded himself of Seneca's words: "The company you keep is like the air you breathe. Clean air nourishes you, while polluted air depletes you." Ask yourself, who do you allow into your inner circle? Do they uplift and inspire you, or do they drain your energy and cloud your vision? Are they people who encourage your growth or keep you bound to old habits and mindsets? The truth, as Alex discovered, is that while we may not control every aspect of our surroundings, we do control the people we choose to let in. Surround yourself with those who help you move forward, and let go of those who pull you back. In choosing his influences wisely, Alex began to feel a sense of lightness and clarity he hadn't felt before. He was no longer burdened by unnecessary negativity, but was instead empowered by a network of support and mutual growth. With newfound clarity, Alex turned his attention inward, realizing that the people around him were only part of the equation. He knew that true mastery would come only when he could control not only his influences, but his responses to life's unpredictable twists and turns. In the next lesson, Alex learns to master his reactions, discovering that his response to life's events is his ultimate source of power. Let us continue as we see him cultivate this inner strength. 4. Focus on your response. The power within. One evening, Alex found himself caught in a situation that many of us have faced. He had worked tirelessly on a project at work, pouring countless hours and energy into it, only to receive unexpected criticism from his manager. Frustration bubbled up within him, and his first instinct was to react defensively. But as he felt his emotions swell, Seneca's words surfaced in his mind. "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In that moment, Alex paused. Instead of letting his emotions take over, he chose to reflect. What if his reaction could be his greatest strength? What if, instead of defending himself impulsively, he took a step back, observed his emotions, and responded with calm and clarity? This idea, though simple, held a profound promise. Could the way he responded shape not only his immediate reality, but also his character? He recalled other moments in life when he had reacted impulsively, letting emotions control his words and actions. They hadn't served him well. Each instance had only left him feeling regretful, recognizing that he'd let external events hold power over him. Alex was ready for a different approach, so he approached the situation with his manager from a new perspective. Instead of reacting defensively, he listened. He acknowledged the feedback without resentment and took it as an opportunity to grow. By controlling his response, he found himself not only more at peace, but also gaining respect from his manager, who noticed his professionalism and maturity. This was a turning point for Alex. He realized that his power lay not in controlling what happened to him, but in controlling how he responded. As Seneca taught, every challenge, setback, and misfortune is an opportunity to exercise the art of self-control, to show strength in the face of adversity. But the practice wasn't always easy. There were moments when a stranger cut him off in traffic or when someone spoke to him rudely, where the impulse to react quickly was strong. Yet each time, he asked himself, what kind of person do I want to be? Someone led by impulse and emotion, or someone who holds a steady mind, unshaken by others' actions? This question became his anchor. By pausing to consider his response, he found himself not only maintaining his inner peace, but also becoming more resilient. Life continued to throw unexpected twists his way. Projects went wrong, disagreements arose, and plans faltered. But with each situation, he chose his reaction carefully, strengthening his resolve and mastering his emotions. Ask yourself, how do you respond to life's unexpected events? Do you allow circumstances to dictate your mood, your actions, or your peace? Or do you, like Alex, recognize that your response is your ultimate power? In the end, it's not the event, but our reaction that defines us. Every time Alex chose a mindful response over an impulsive one, he grew stronger, more resilient, and more at peace. This lesson became a foundational part of his journey towards self-mastery, guiding him in moments both big and small. With this newfound understanding, Alex felt a sense of freedom. He was no longer bound by the opinions or actions of others, nor was he a slave to his emotions, but he soon realized that if he truly wanted to pursue a life of purpose, he would need to go a step further, not only controlling his reactions, but choosing his commitments carefully. Life was full of distractions, and he knew he needed to say yes only to what mattered. In the following lesson, Alex learns to prioritize his choices, saying yes to what aligns with his values and no to what distracts him. Let us join him as he hones this skill of discernment, another pillar of Stoic wisdom. 5. Say yes to what matters, the art of discernment. As Alex delved deeper into his journey of self-mastery, he became increasingly aware of the endless demands on his time and attention. Invitations, obligations, distractions, each vied for his yes, but Alex began to wonder, how many of these commitments were aligned with his true purpose? How often did he find himself saying yes out of habit, or fear of disappointing others, rather than genuine interest or alignment with his values? Seneca's wisdom echoed in his mind, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." In other words, Without clarity about what truly matters, we risk being swept along by the currents of life, losing sight of our own direction. Alex recognized that to achieve mastery over his life, he needed to prioritize the essential and eliminate the trivial. But how would he decide what was truly essential? He began with a simple question that would become his guiding compass. Does this commitment serve my values and long-term goals, or does it merely serve as a distraction? He realized that each time he said yes to something unimportant, he was, in effect, saying no to something that mattered more. The first challenge came one Friday evening. A friend invited him to a social gathering. In the past, Alex would have accepted without a second thought, worried that declining might come across as unfriendly. But now, he paused. He had planned to work on a creative project that night, a passion he had long neglected due to his busy schedule. The gathering would likely be enjoyable, but it didn't align with his goals or contribute meaningfully to his growth. So, he politely declined, explaining that he had prior commitments. At first, he felt a pang of guilt. What if his friend was disappointed? But as he settled into his work that evening, fully engaged and energized, he felt an undeniable sense of purpose. For the first time, he had consciously chosen a commitment that reflected his own aspirations rather than yielding to social pressure. This small act of discernment marked a shift. Alex became more mindful of each commitment, each yes. He began to question his daily habits, identifying those that aligned with his values and those that did not. He recognized that even small choices, a morning scroll through social media, idle conversations at work, or mindless TV in the evening, each took a piece of his time and energy. By eliminating these habits, he found himself with more time and clarity to focus on pursuits that truly mattered. Through this practice, Alex learned a powerful truth about commitment. Every yes was an investment, not just of time, but of life itself. Seneca urged that we must be judicious with our commitments, for each one shapes the person we are becoming. Each decision, no matter how small, is like a brushstroke on the canvas of our life, shaping the larger picture. Ask yourself, how often do you say yes out of habit or fear of disappointing others? Do your commitments reflect what truly matters to you, or are they obligations that dilute your focus and energy? By prioritizing what mattered, Alex found a deeper sense of fulfillment in his life. He was no longer stretched thin, scattered across tasks that brought him no real joy or meaning. Instead, his life took on a rhythm of intentionality, with each day aligned closer to his long-term goals and personal values. Saying yes became a sacred act, reserved only for endeavors that enriched his spirit and contributed to his growth. With this newfound clarity, Alex experienced a freedom he had not known before. Yet he understood that to stay on this path of self-mastery, he would need more than discernment. He would need the discipline to maintain control over his own desires and impulses, a skill that would require a deeper commitment to mastering himself. In the next lesson, Alex learns the importance of self-discipline, the cornerstone of Stoic self-mastery, discovering that the greatest victory is victory over oneself. Join us as Alex deepens his journey, strengthening his resolve to become the master of his own mind and actions. 6. Be a master of yourself, the strength of self-discipline. As Alex continued on his path of self-discovery, he realized that knowledge alone wouldn't be enough to reach his goals. Knowing what mattered, setting boundaries, and protecting his time were valuable steps, yet something critical remained. He had to cultivate a skill that would hold him steady through both calm and storm, the skill of self-discipline. Self-discipline, Seneca taught, is the cornerstone of a purposeful life. Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power, he wrote. emphasizing that true mastery begins within. But how, Alex wondered, could he develop this inner strength? What did it mean to be in control of oneself? The test came sooner than he expected. Alex had set himself a goal of writing each morning before work, a practice he believed would nurture his creativity and clarity. But as he rose each morning, he found himself tempted by comfort. The warmth of his bed, the ease of another hour's sleep, each felt more alluring than the call to create. A voice within him whispered, "You deserve rest. One day won't hurt." This internal struggle was familiar to Alex. Countless times he had set goals only to abandon them when discomfort arose. Yet now, with Seneca's words guiding him, he saw this moment differently. He recognized that these small choices were defining him. Each time he chose comfort over commitment, he was weakening his resolve. Each time he resisted, he was cultivating his inner strength. Determined to keep his promise to himself, Alex rose early the next day and sat down to write, despite the temptation to stay in bed. The writing itself wasn't always easy. Some days, inspiration flowed, while others were filled with frustration and self-doubt. Yet he kept going, learning to push through discomfort and distraction. Over time, he found that the act of writing became less about the words on the page and more about the commitment to show up, rain or shine, and honor his goals. Seneca believed that self-discipline was about mastering one's impulses, desires, and fears. To master oneself, he advised, one must resist the allure of pleasure, endure discomfort, and persist in the face of obstacles. Alex felt the truth of these words as he pushed through moments of temptation, recognizing that self-discipline was not about restriction, but about liberation. Each time he exercised restraint, he freed himself from the chains of impulse. The power of self-discipline transformed more than just his mornings. It began to touch every aspect of his life. When a challenging project arose at work, he resisted the urge to procrastinate, tackling it head-on. When he felt the pull to spend money on things he didn't need, he paused, evaluating his actions rather than giving in to momentary desire. Through these choices, he experienced a quiet strength, a feeling of being in control of his own life rather than at the mercy of his whims. But the journey was not without setbacks. There were days when Alex gave in to impulse, days when he faltered. In these moments, he remembered that self-discipline, like any skill, was built through practice and patience. Each time he stumbled, he got back up, reminding himself that growth wasn't about perfection, but persistence. Ask yourself, how often do you allow your impulses to control your actions? Are there habits or desires that pull you away from your goals? What would it mean to exercise restraint, to choose purpose over pleasure? In the end, Alex discovered that self-discipline was about more than reaching his goals. It was about becoming the kind of person who could be relied upon, not only by others, but by himself. With each act of self-discipline, he strengthened his character, creating a foundation of resilience and integrity. As Alex cultivated this inner strength, he came to understand that self-discipline wasn't about depriving himself of joy or comfort, but about choosing what he truly valued. With this foundation, he felt ready to continue his journey, knowing that every choice brought him closer to his true self. Yet, he understood that there was one more thing he needed to truly master his life, a clear understanding of the value of time. Only by safeguarding his time could he continue to grow and evolve, fully embracing the present and letting go of the trivial. In the next lesson, Alex learns to protect his time, the most precious resource we possess, discovering that each moment we save brings us closer to a life of meaning and fulfillment. Let us continue as he explores this fundamental Stoic principle. 7. Protect your time, the treasure of life. As Alex moved deeper into his Stoic journey, he began to understand that time was his most precious resource. Each hour, once gone, was lost forever, and yet, like so many others, he had taken it for granted. Inspired by Seneca's teachings, he began to ask himself a crucial question. If time is life itself, how could he guard it more carefully? Seneca warned, people are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. These words resonated deeply with Alex. He realized that while he guarded his money and possessions, he had been careless with his time, allowing distractions, trivial tasks, and unnecessary commitments to chip away at his days. One weekend, Alex decided to experiment. He kept a journal of how he spent each hour of the day, tracking every activity, from work to errands, from socializing to leisure time. The results shocked him. He saw hours slip away to things that held little meaning, mindlessly scrolling on his phone, half watching TV, and doing tasks that were urgent but ultimately unimportant. It was a revelation that shook him to the core. The Stoic approach to time is simple yet profound. Value it as the rarest currency. Alex knew he had to start making changes if he wanted to live a purposeful life. But where to begin? He started by creating boundaries. First, he eliminated distractions. He set specific times to check his phone and email, freeing his day from the constant pull of notifications. Next, he became intentional about his schedule. He prioritized activities that aligned with his long-term goals, allocating focused time for work, self-improvement, and relationships. Social obligations, once accepted out of habit, became choices. He learned to decline invitations that didn't serve his values, replacing them with time dedicated to meaningful pursuits. But protecting time wasn't just about saying no to distractions. It was also about being fully present in the moments he chose to engage in. When spending time with friends or family, Alex made an effort to be truly there, listening deeply, enjoying the conversation, savoring the connection. These moments, once blurred by divided attention, became rich and fulfilling. Alex quickly saw the impact of these changes. His days felt less rushed, and he found a sense of calm in his routine. He began to appreciate the simplicity of a focused day, where each task was a choice aligned with his purpose. His mind, no longer scattered, became clearer, and he found himself more present, able to enjoy life's simplest pleasures without the lingering sense of hurriedness. Ask yourself, how do you spend your time? Do you give it away carelessly, or do you treat it as the rare and precious resource it is? Imagine if each hour were a treasure. Would you spend it differently? Through protecting his time, Alex learned to protect his life itself. He understood that life's richness doesn't come from how much we fill our days, but from the quality of each moment we choose to invest in. Each day became a canvas, and he painted it with care, choosing activities that enriched his soul rather than merely filled his hours. Time, he realized, was not something to merely get through. It was to be cherished, honored, and protected. With this new respect for time, Alex felt more connected to his life's purpose. He was no longer a passenger, drifting aimlessly. He was at the helm, steering with intention. However, Alex knew that to sustain this intentional life, he would need more than careful time management. He needed a willingness to do the hard things, to face challenges head-on without flinching. For it is in adversity that our character is truly tested and refined. In the next lesson, Alex learns the value of doing the hard things, embracing challenges that forge strength and resilience. Join us as we continue this journey into the depths of Stoic wisdom. 8. Do the hard things. The forge of strength. As Alex journeyed further in his exploration of Stoicism, he recognized a recurring theme in Seneca's teachings. the importance of facing difficult tasks and embracing challenges. Seneca once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." But how, Alex wondered, could he actively seek out hardship? Why choose the path of resistance when the easier way beckoned? For much of his life, Alex had shied away from difficulty. Like many, he preferred comfort and security. Yet, as he reflected on his past, he realized that his moments of growth, his most profound transformations, had all been born from struggle. The thought intrigued him. What if, instead of avoiding hard things, he faced them head-on? The opportunity came in the form of a physical challenge. Alex had always admired those who could run long distances, but had never dared to attempt it himself. Running, with its relentless demands on both body and mind, had always intimidated him. Yet, inspired by Seneca's wisdom, he decided to sign up for a half-marathon, giving himself 3 months to train. The first few runs were grueling. His muscles ached, his lungs burned, and self-doubt crept in, urging him to quit. Each morning, when the alarm sounded at dawn, the comfort of his bed called louder than the open road. But Alex remembered Seneca's words, and with every step, he reminded himself that strength is forged through effort, not ease. Each run became a test, not just of his endurance, but of his commitment to self-mastery. In the solitude of his early morning runs, Alex learned to silence the voice of doubt. He pushed past the discomfort, embracing it as part of the process. The physical pain began to feel less like suffering and more like transformation. Each run, each mile, was a testament to his resilience, a reminder that he could endure more than he once believed. He felt himself becoming not just physically stronger, but mentally fortified. But Alex's lessons in doing the hard things weren't limited to the physical. At work, he faced a challenging project that required skills he hadn't yet mastered. The task was daunting, with a high risk of failure. In the past, he might have avoided it, passed it on to someone else, or delayed it in hopes it would become someone else's responsibility. Yet, armed with his newfound mindset, Alex decided to tackle it. The process was frustrating. There were moments of confusion, countless mistakes, and the constant temptation to give up. But Alex pushed forward, learning, adapting, and persevering. Through the challenge, he discovered something profound. Hardship was no longer an enemy. Instead, it became a teacher, guiding him to new abilities, insights, and strengths. The fear of failure, which once loomed large, began to shrink as he learned to value effort over outcome. Seneca believed that the pursuit of greatness requires us to confront discomfort and endure hardship. By treating the body rigorously and making it obedient to the mind, he taught that we cultivate the inner strength necessary to face life's inevitable challenges. Alex began to appreciate that adversity was not a setback, but a proving ground, a chance to fortify his character and refine his spirit. Ask yourself, what challenges have you avoided? What would it mean for you to embrace these difficulties, not as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow? Through his journey, Alex found that doing the hard things brought him a profound sense of accomplishment. Each challenge he faced added to his resilience, his capacity to endure, and his belief in his own potential. Where once he saw hardship as something to avoid, he now saw it as a crucial part of his path to self-mastery. And so, with each day, each step, and each trial, Alex grew stronger. His journey reminded him that the true test of character is not in avoiding hardship, but in embracing it fully, allowing it to shape him into a better, stronger version of himself. With this newfound strength, Alex felt ready to extend his growth beyond himself. Inspired by Seneca's teachings, he recognized that self-mastery was not solely a personal journey. It was also about uplifting others, helping them become better versions of themselves. In the next lesson, Alex discovers the Stoic principle of making others better, learning that the path to true happiness and fulfillment lies in lifting others up. Let us continue as he explores the powerful ripple effect of positive influence. 9. Make others better. The ripple of positive influence. As Alex deepened his commitment to self-mastery, he began to feel a growing sense of responsibility, not just to himself, but to those around him. The more he studied Stoicism, the clearer it became that a life well lived was not lived in isolation. Seneca taught that true fulfillment lies in making others better, in sharing our knowledge, and in helping those we encounter become the best versions of themselves. This concept fascinated Alex. He had always believed that personal growth was, by its nature, a solitary journey. Yet Seneca challenged this notion, emphasizing that our actions, words, and attitudes have a powerful effect on others. No man, Seneca wrote, can live well for himself alone. We must live for each other if we would live for ourselves. Inspired by this idea, Alex began to look at his interactions with a new perspective. He saw his role at work, his friendships, and even his casual conversations as opportunities to uplift and empower. Could he wondered, bring something positive to each encounter, no matter how small? The first real test came when a colleague, Sam, was struggling with a project. Alex could see the frustration in Sam's face, the weariness of repeated setbacks. In the past, Alex might have simply sympathized and moved on, thinking that the best he could do was listen. But now, inspired by Seneca's words, he took a different approach. He offered his help, suggesting they brainstorm solutions together. They spent hours refining ideas, experimenting with new approaches, and discussing what they had learned. Through their collaboration, Sam not only completed the project successfully, but felt a renewed sense of confidence in his abilities. Alex realized that in helping Sam overcome his challenge, he had fostered something more enduring than a single project's success. He had contributed to Sam's growth, reinforcing his own belief in the importance of positive influence. As time went on, Alex began to notice other areas where he could lift others. When a friend expressed self-doubt, he offered encouragement, reminding them of their past accomplishments. With his family, he made an effort to listen deeply, asking questions that showed genuine interest and empathy. In each instance, he saw how even small acts of support created a ripple effect of positivity and growth. Seneca believed that making others better was not about controlling or advising, but about being a source of inspiration, setting an example that others could look to and learn from. The goal, he taught, was to cultivate within ourselves qualities that encourage those around us to grow. For Alex, this meant living in alignment with his values, practicing patience, kindness, and resilience, not for recognition, but as a natural expression of his character. Ask yourself, how do you influence those around you? Are you a source of encouragement, a person who others feel uplifted by, or do you drain their energy with complaints or criticisms? Could you, in small ways, help others to grow simply by being the best version of yourself? Through his efforts to make others better, Alex found a new sense of purpose. Helping others achieve their potential brought him a deeper happiness than he had expected, a feeling of connection and shared accomplishment. He began to see that self-mastery was not just about self-improvement, but about contributing to a community, lifting others as he climbed. Yet Alex knew that, in order to sustain this commitment to uplifting others, he would need to cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Seneca's teachings reminded him that gratitude was essential to a life of resilience and contentment, a practice that would ground him in the richness of each moment. In the next lesson, Alex learns to practice gratitude, discovering that appreciation for the simple and profound aspects of life fuels inner peace and strengthens resilience. Let us continue as he embraces this Stoic practice, enriching his journey of self-mastery. 10. Practice gratitude, the anchor of contentment. As Alex moved forward on his path of Stoic self-mastery, he noticed a subtle yet profound shift in his outlook. The principles of Stoicism had helped him shape a life of purpose, self-discipline, and resilience. Yet, in the midst of his progress, he sensed something was missing, a grounding force that could sustain his growth through both highs and lows. Seneca had spoken of this grounding force often: gratitude. "We are more often frightened than hurt," he wrote, "and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." Gratitude, he taught, allows us to center ourselves, recognizing the blessings in our lives, no matter the difficulties we face. Intrigued by this idea, Alex decided to make gratitude a daily practice. He started small, setting aside a few minutes each morning to reflect on what he was thankful for. At first, he struggled to move beyond the obvious, the basics like food, shelter, and health. But as he deepened his practice, he began to notice the richness in life's simplest moments. He felt grateful for the warmth of the sun on his morning walk, for the laughter shared with friends, and for the sense of accomplishment after a hard day's work. In cultivating gratitude, Alex found himself more resilient in the face of challenges. When setbacks arose, instead of spiraling into frustration, he reminded himself of the lessons he had learned and the support he had around him. Gratitude, he realized, was not just about counting blessings, but about finding strength and calm within himself, regardless of life's changing circumstances. One day, a significant challenge tested his newfound practice. A project he had spent weeks on fell through at the last moment due to unexpected changes. Disappointment washed over him, but rather than dwelling on the loss, he paused and asked himself, "What is there to be grateful for in this situation?" At first, the answer wasn't obvious, but as he sat with the question, he realized he was grateful for the skills he had honed, the teamwork he had experienced, and the resilience he had developed through the process. This shift in perspective lifted his spirits, allowing him to move forward without resentment. Gratitude became Alex's anchor, grounding him in the present and reminding him that life's richness didn't depend on circumstances. By appreciating each moment, even in adversity, he felt a newfound sense of peace and contentment. He began to see that life itself, with all its unpredictable twists and turns, was a gift worthy of his gratitude. Seneca often reminded his students that gratitude is a key component of resilience. In facing hardships, a grateful heart sees not just obstacles, but opportunities for growth and reflection. This approach, Alex found, was transformative. Rather than resisting life's challenges, he embraced them, knowing that each one carried a hidden gift, a chance to learn, adapt, and appreciate. Ask yourself, how often do you pause to acknowledge the good in your life? Do you find gratitude only in comfort, or can you see its value even in hardship? What would it look like to cultivate gratitude each day, grounding yourself in appreciation rather than dissatisfaction? In the end, Alex's practice of gratitude enriched every aspect of his life. It became a source of strength, helping him weather storms with a calm heart and a clear mind. And as he continued his journey, he knew that gratitude would remain a steadfast companion, guiding him through both joys and challenges. With gratitude as his foundation, Alex felt prepared to continue growing. Yet he understood that personal growth required more than just inner peace. He needed to keep expanding his mind, embracing the Stoic principle of continuous learning. In the next lesson, Alex discovers the importance of lifelong learning, realizing that wisdom is not a destination, but a journey that deepens with each experience. Join us as he embarks on this Stoic commitment to growth and knowledge. 11. Embrace continuous learning, the journey of growth. As Alex progressed in his Stoic practice, he found himself increasingly curious about the world around him. Stoicism had shown him that life's challenges were not obstacles but teachers, and that true wisdom lay in being adaptable, open, and ever willing to learn. This insight resonated with Seneca's advice to hold an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. For Seneca, knowledge wasn't merely academic, but a means to better navigate life's trials and uncertainties. Alex's commitment to learning had always been casual, a series of starts and stops guided by convenience rather than intent. But now, inspired by Stoic philosophy, he began to approach learning with renewed purpose. He wondered, what if every day held a lesson waiting to be discovered? How would his life change if he committed to lifelong learning, not as a chore, but as a path to self-mastery? He began by choosing a few areas to deepen his understanding. First, he committed to reading philosophy, diving into the works of other Stoics like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius. Their writings not only expanded his knowledge, but also deepened his insight into his own thoughts, actions, and reactions. Each page held a mirror to his life, helping him reflect on his choices and cultivate a greater sense of awareness. Alex also sought to expand his skills at work. Instead of sticking only to tasks he was comfortable with, he volunteered for projects that required him to learn new tools and concepts. It wasn't easy. The learning curve was steep, and there were moments of frustration. But each time he encountered a difficulty, he reminded himself that the discomfort was a sign of growth. Through each challenge, he developed not only technical skills, but also the resilience to persist when things felt overwhelming. Seneca believed that learning should be a daily habit, a form of mental exercise that strengthens the mind, just as physical training strengthens the body. Alex adopted this mindset, using each day as an opportunity to learn something new. He kept a small notebook, jotting down insights, lessons, and questions he encountered throughout his day. Over time, this practice became a ritual, a reminder that wisdom was a journey, not a destination. One afternoon, a friend asked Alex why he spent so much time reading and studying Stoic principles. Alex's response surprised even himself. "Learning," he said, "is how I prepare for life. It's my way of meeting the unexpected with strength, of understanding myself and the world around me." In embracing continuous learning, Alex discovered a powerful truth. Wisdom is not static. The world is ever-changing, and true strength comes not from rigid beliefs, but from adaptability, curiosity, and openness to new perspectives. By committing to lifelong learning, he equipped himself to face any challenge with resilience and insight. Ask yourself, how often do you seek out new knowledge or skills? Do you view learning as a task to complete, or as a journey to enrich your life? Imagine how your perspective might shift if each day became an opportunity to learn, grow, and deepen your understanding. For Alex, continuous learning was not only about acquiring knowledge, but about cultivating humility. Each new lesson revealed the vastness of what he did not know, reminding him that true wisdom lies in acknowledging one's limitations and embracing growth as a lifelong process. This practice of learning brought a quiet joy into his life. He no longer feared change, knowing he was equipped to adapt and grow with each new challenge. Learning became a source of resilience, a steady guide through life's unpredictable twists. As Alex continued to grow, he knew that embracing new ideas and skills was essential. Yet he also recognized that real courage required something even deeper: vulnerability. He realized that to truly connect with others and experience life fully, he needed to confront his own fears of imperfection. In the next lesson, Alex learns to embrace vulnerability, discovering that openness and authenticity are paths to deeper connections and personal strength. Join us as he explores this essential aspect of Stoic wisdom. 12. Embrace vulnerability, the courage to be authentic. As Alex delved deeper into Stoic philosophy, he encountered a lesson that challenged him on a deeply personal level. Seneca and the Stoics often emphasized the importance of authenticity and courage in facing one's own limitations. For Seneca, vulnerability was not a weakness, but a profound strength, the courage to acknowledge our imperfections and confront them openly. This concept was foreign to Alex. Like many, he had spent much of his life striving to appear strong, capable, and unaffected by hardship. Vulnerability, he believed, was something to avoid, a flaw that exposed him to judgment and rejection. But now, Seneca's wisdom urged him to rethink his perspective. What if vulnerability was a path to deeper connections, greater resilience, and, ultimately, a fuller experience of life? The opportunity to test this idea came unexpectedly. Alex's close friend, Julia, noticed he had been distant and reserved in recent weeks. She asked him directly if something was wrong. Alex's first instinct was to brush it off, to assure her that he was fine. But as he looked at her, he felt the weight of Seneca's lesson. Vulnerability requires honesty, especially with those we trust. Taking a deep breath, Alex admitted that he had been struggling. He shared his fears about work, his doubts about his abilities, and the loneliness that sometimes crept in despite his recent growth. To his surprise, Julia listened without judgment, offering her support and understanding. In that moment, Alex experienced the power of vulnerability firsthand. By allowing himself to be open, he deepened his connection with Julia, finding comfort and reassurance in her response. This experience left a profound impact on Alex. He realized that his fear of vulnerability had been rooted in a desire to control how others saw him. But by striving for a facade of strength, he had kept himself from experiencing true, meaningful connection. Vulnerability, he learned, was not about appearing weak, but about being courageous enough to show up as his true self. Seneca taught that embracing our imperfections is essential to growth. Vulnerability, he believed, was a gateway to self-acceptance and resilience. By acknowledging our struggles, we gain the courage to face them openly rather than hiding behind a mask of perfection. Alex saw this truth reflected in his own journey. When he allowed himself to be vulnerable, he felt a newfound strength, a sense of liberation from the fear of judgment. Gradually, Alex began to embrace vulnerability in other areas of his life. At work, he no longer pretended to have all the answers, and he found that asking for help did not diminish others' respect for him. Instead, it deepened his relationships with colleagues, creating an atmosphere of mutual trust and collaboration. He learned that sharing his challenges invited others to share theirs, fostering a sense of camaraderie that made the workplace more supportive and resilient. Ask yourself, how often do you hide your true feelings or struggles, fearing others' judgment? What would change if you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, embracing your imperfections rather than concealing them? Could this openness lead to deeper connections and a stronger sense of self? Through his journey, Alex discovered that vulnerability was a powerful form of courage. By embracing his own humanity, he freed himself from the need for approval and allowed himself to connect with others on a genuine level. Vulnerability became a practice, a way of showing up in life with authenticity, strength, and humility. Embracing vulnerability didn't mean Alex no longer felt fear or insecurity. Those emotions still surfaced, but he learned to face them with compassion, knowing they were part of his journey. This acceptance brought him peace, allowing him to navigate life's uncertainties with a steady heart. With each step, Alex continued to grow in resilience and inner strength. Yet he knew that challenges and setbacks were inevitable, no matter how prepared he felt. To truly embody Stoic wisdom, he needed to cultivate resilience in the face of adversity, seeing each hardship as a teacher rather than an obstacle. In the next lesson, Alex learns the value of resilience through adversity, discovering that hardships are opportunities to refine his character and deepen his strength. Let us continue as he explores this essential Stoic practice. 13. Cultivate resilience through adversity, the teacher in hardship. As Alex continued his journey, he became increasingly aware that life, no matter how carefully planned, would always include setbacks and hardships. These moments of adversity often struck without warning, leaving him to confront fear, disappointment, and frustration. Yet, Seneca's teachings reminded him that adversity is not a misfortune, but an opportunity. Difficulties strengthen the mind, Seneca wrote, as labor does the body. The real test of this principle came when Alex's company underwent a major restructuring. The project he had worked on tirelessly was cancelled, and many of his colleagues were laid off. Though he kept his position, the uncertainty of the situation weighed heavily on him. Faced with the loss of his efforts and the stress of potential job insecurity, Alex found himself questioning the value of his work and his purpose. But rather than letting despair take hold, Alex remembered Seneca's wisdom. Adversity is a teacher, guiding us to strengths we may not yet see. Determined to rise above the situation, he focused on what he could control. He approached his work with renewed dedication, embracing each task as a chance to prove his resilience. He volunteered for new assignments and supported his colleagues, helping them adapt to the changes. In this period of difficulty, Alex discovered a new strength within himself. The experience forced him to redefine his understanding of success, realizing that resilience was the truest measure of his character. As he navigated the restructuring, he grew more confident, knowing that his worth was not tied to external events, but to his ability to face them with grace and determination. Ask yourself, how do you respond to adversity? Do you see it as a setback or as an opportunity to grow stronger? Could hardship be the very thing that helps you develop resilience and refine your character? Through adversity, Alex gained a deeper sense of resilience. He saw challenges not as obstacles, but as essential parts of his journey, each one contributing to his growth. By cultivating resilience, he found an inner strength that allowed him to face life's uncertainties with courage and confidence. With a fortified spirit, Alex realized that resilience alone was not enough. To truly understand himself and continue growing, he needed to make reflection a regular practice, allowing him to examine his actions, thoughts, and intentions with honesty. 14. Practice the art of reflection, the mirror of growth. In his pursuit of self-mastery, Alex often found himself overwhelmed by the demands of daily life. Seneca taught that one of the most important practices for personal growth is reflection, a daily ritual of examining one's actions, thoughts, and choices. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality, Seneca wrote, and Alex recognized that many of his anxieties came not from external events, but from his own unexamined thoughts. Determined to integrate reflection into his life, Alex set aside time each evening to review his day. He asked himself simple yet powerful questions. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? How can I improve tomorrow? In the quiet of these moments, he found clarity, identifying habits and patterns that held him back, as well as strengths he hadn't fully recognized. One evening, as he reflected on a difficult conversation he'd had with a friend, Alex realized that his impatience had caused tension. Instead of dismissing the interaction, he used his reflection practice to understand his reaction, realizing that his impatience stemmed from unresolved stress. This insight allowed him to approach future conversations with greater empathy, turning each reflection into an opportunity to improve. Reflection, Alex learned, was not about dwelling on mistakes, but about cultivating awareness. By examining his actions without judgment, he found a sense of peace and clarity. This daily practice became his compass, guiding him toward continuous improvement and helping him stay aligned with his goals. Ask yourself, how often do you reflect on your actions, thoughts, and goals? Do you take time to examine your day with honesty and compassion? Imagine what insights you might uncover if you made reflection a daily habit. Through reflection, Alex gained a deeper understanding of himself and his journey. The practice allowed him to course-correct and stay true to his values. Yet, he realized that his mindset, his inner dialogue, played a crucial role in shaping his experiences. To fully embrace Stoic wisdom, he needed to cultivate a mindset resilient to negativity and rich with possibility. 15. Cultivate a robust mindset, the power of perspective. As Alex reflected on his journey, he recognized that his thoughts, the silent narratives he carried within, shaped his experience of the world. Seneca's teachings reminded him that his thoughts held immense power. "We are more often frightened than hurt," Seneca wrote, "and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." Alex understood that his perspective could either empower him or limit him. Determined to cultivate a positive and resilient mindset, Alex began observing his thoughts. He noticed patterns of self-doubt and fear that arose in moments of stress. Instead of accepting these thoughts as truths, he practiced questioning them. Was the fear real, or was it a product of his own imagination? Was the self-doubt valid, or was it a habit born from insecurity? Through this practice, Alex learned to reframe challenges as opportunities and setbacks as lessons. Instead of viewing obstacles as threats, he saw them as chances to grow. Each time he encountered a problem, he asked himself, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective transformed his experience, allowing him to approach life's difficulties with a calm, solution-focused mindset. Ask yourself, what stories do you tell yourself in moments of challenge? Do you allow negative thoughts to dictate your actions, or do you question them, seeking the truth beneath the surface? By cultivating a resilient mindset, Alex freed himself from the constraints of fear and doubt. His thoughts became allies rather than enemies, helping him face life with strength and clarity. As Alex reached the end of his journey through the Stoic principles, he looked back with a sense of gratitude and accomplishment. The teachings of Seneca had guided him to become a stronger, wiser, and more compassionate person. Each lesson, protecting his time, embracing challenges, choosing influences wisely, and living in alignment with his values, had helped him cultivate a life of meaning and fulfillment. Yet Alex knew that this was not an end point, but a beginning. Stoicism was a path, a way of life that required continuous practice and reflection. He committed to carrying these lessons forward, to applying them each day, and to sharing their wisdom with others. To you, the reader, Alex's journey serves as an invitation. The principles of Stoicism are not ancient relics, but living guides, ready to help you face life's challenges with strength, resilience, and wisdom. Embrace the journey of self-mastery, apply these lessons in your life, and discover the peace and fulfillment that come from living with purpose. If you found inspiration in Alex's journey, I invite you to reflect, comment, and share your thoughts below. Consider subscribing to join a community dedicated to growth, resilience, and the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Thank you for being part of this journey, and may you continue to grow, learn, and live in alignment with your highest self.